Here's the issue that the vast majority of our industry is struggling with, at least in my experience, in my opinion, is that, okay, so 2012 to middle of 2022, longest bull market in U.S. recorded history, longest economic expansion, longest real estate boom expansion to ever exist since 1776. So and I hear people say, oh, I can't wait for the market to return to normal. I'm like, this is normal. What you do.
Welcome to Agent Success Podcast. If you're a real estate agent looking to succeed in today's crazy market, well, you're in the right place. Each week, we talk with successful real estate agents willing to share their expert insights, trade secrets, and mindset that help them to succeed. There's no fluff, just straight to the point content that prioritizes one thing above all, your success. So without further ado, let's cut to the chase.
Welcome to another episode of Cut to the Chase, agentsuccesspodcast.com. This week, we have a very special guest, my new friend. I've been stalking him for a few years, but my new friend, Mr. Joshua Smith. How are you doing, Joshua?
Doing amazing. And thank you so much for having me on, man. Honored to be on here jamming with you today.
All right, right on. Well, as everybody knows who watches us, we just want to add value to agents. What can we do to add value to agents? So every single guest we have is a success story in real estate, but just like the name says, cut to the chase. There's a lot of fluff in real estate and a lot of ideas and Tony Robbins seminar type stuff that goes around, which is not bad, but sometimes you just got to get to the freaking meat of it. And like, what's my action? What do I do? Like I've listened to every tape. I've done this. So what do I do? So that's what Joshua is a master at. And we're going to help discover that with him today. So first off, just to let everybody know, you are licensed. Where are you licensed? So give me a little bit of a scoop where you're at right now.
Yeah, so Phoenix, Arizona. Been in the business since 2005. So jumped in 2005 and hit the ground running. Had a solid year my first year. 48 deals my first year, which led to me starting my team. So hired my first assistant, and so I've been running and operating my real estate team now for about 18 years out here in Phoenix.
Oh, that's a good that first year. That's almost. I mean, I know a lot of agents, right? And 48 deals your first year is unheard of. I shouldn't say unheard of, but very, very rare. Was this mostly buyers, sellers? Where were you finding your success?
Yeah. Now to put some backstory to that, because I think it's important to have context, because it's so easy to get in the negative trap of comparison. I had 9 years of sales experience before I got into real estate. My father owned and operated gyms for 30 years. So I started selling health club memberships, personal training packages at the age of 14, right? Okay. So there was, I just had to interchange the products, and I was also 23 years old, wasn't married, didn't have kids. I could work from 4 a.m. to midnight, like if I jumped in today, okay, would I do 48 deals my first year, being married, having 3 kids? Situation's a lot different. I probably wouldn't, right? So, I just wanted to make that clear, because sometimes, again, that comparison, we can beat ourselves up with that. But in the beginning, dude, it was open houses, man. It was because I did 48 first year, 103 my second. And for my first 18 months, it was all buy side. I had no interest in going after the sell side. And I kind of got lucky. Well, when I say this, I did an open house every single day, really for my first year of the business. So by day 4, that was my 4th open house, I got a buyer, $300,000 cash buyer, so I was like, I had to win right out of the gate. So I was like, dude, this is easy. And then it was hustle. It was, but yeah, to me, it was that first 18 months. And I think in the beginning too, you're kind of nervous about going after listings, and it was in my comfort zone. But yeah, the buy side just flowed so natural, and the connection. I just had moved to Phoenix from Michigan, so I didn't know anybody, so I didn't have a sphere of influence, so it was a great way to kind of build up that SOI base. But then it got to the point where, I was spending about 10 hours a week just prospecting other agents in my office, outside my office, because I needed open houses to do, and I didn't have any listings. So then it took me 18 months to gather the intelligence to think of maybe I should go out there and get my own listings. So I have my own open houses. I have to spend 10 hours a freaking week prospecting these damn agents to get an open house. So then I started also attacking expireds and going after expireds to get the listings, just so I had open house opportunities, because I was just, nailing with open houses. And then that led to, also stacking a ton of listings. And then that brings us to, 2007, and things changed very dramatically in 2007. So went from this massive boom.
You could have 100 buyers in 2007, and nobody's even writing loans for them at that point, right? So you can even have qualified buyers and they're just not getting the money, or you could go out and get a ton of sellers and there's no buyers. So it was a really weird, very, very weird time.
Yeah, in Phoenix, we were one of the hardest hit markets in the U.S. Properties I was selling for, let's just say 350. After the crash, I'm selling for 85, 90,000. Lots of land we were selling for 150. Now we're selling for 5,000. Pretty much everything got to the point where it was distressed. Right? It was either REO or a short sale.
So you're saying 2007, you're dropping the prices, to $90,000.
Yeah, so we got hit, we got hammered, right? Now, the blessing of this is I was so used to pulling out that blank piece of paper and having to reinvent myself every day. I didn't have bad habits yet. So for me, it was very easy to adapt and pivot into the distressed market of the great financial crisis. And look, there's just things that I learned, and this is what's allowed me for almost 20 years now to grow and scale my business every single year and have it better than the previous year, regardless of the marketplace. Because I've just learned that, look, real estate's always moving. It's always selling. It's always trading hands. But we've got to adapt to, who the market's good for, because that will pivot, right? And we can go deeper into that because there's definitely some changes now that we're seeing in the marketplace that, people are really struggling with this pivot. But, then, I positioned myself into doing short sales and REOs. And, next thing you know, we're on with 35 different banks and doing a bunch of short sales. Those expireds, stumbled in short sales on accident. My expireds, they weren't, meaning calling these people, the reason why their homes were expiring was because they couldn't price it where they needed to price it. Because now with, rate or prices coming down, they were upside down in their mortgage, but then they got to the point where they needed to sell. So, I had to figure out short sales and was able to adapt with that. Just like, in the last 18 to 24 months, man, our business has had to adapt again massively because we've seen a huge change.
Yeah, it's a lot different. And I've interviewed several real estate agents where I've asked them, what did they do in that time? Like, what was their business like? And there are a very small handful. It's a very unique that somebody said, I attacked the REOs, right? I attacked the REOs because a lot of people, so-and-so, they do the foreclosure listings, or, I don't know how to go through and get the, get a short sale taken care of. I don't know how to do these things. And so people just didn't do it. Right. And then there's a select few that said, like you said, real estate is always moving. It's constantly moving. So it's just different in 2008, 2009. It's just different. So do you learn and adapt? Do you get that new skill? Do you adapt to that new way of doing business? And I think that skill set, being an entrepreneur, being a serial entrepreneur, as I believe you are as well, you have to be so flexible in what you do. And here's what I've discovered over all the years of me trying to be an entrepreneur is I've discovered whatever I come up with in my head, and I'm like a ridiculous optimist, right? So whatever I come up with in my head, it never turns out that way. Yeah. So it took me a long time to learn that though, right? Like it took me a couple decades, and finally I'm like, hold on a second. Nothing ever turns out the way I planned. So therefore I have to be very flexible. I have to be, like they say, rigid in your flexible in your approach, rigid in your goals kind of thing, right? And so for you to do that. So that leads to a quick question then is, in today's market, how do you feel, is it more difficult to do real estate right now, or is it just different that requires a different skill set, or both?
It's just different. It's actually, it's the second easiest time I've ever seen to go out there and sell real estate in my career, wow. But here's the issue that the vast majority of our industry is struggling with, at least in my experience, in my opinion, is that, okay, so 2012 to middle of 2022, longest bull market in U.S. recorded history, longest economic expansion, longest real estate boom expansion to ever exist since 1776. So and I hear people say, I can't wait for the market to return to normal. I'm like, this is normal. What you just got done experiencing was abnormal. And the probability of you experiencing that again is very slim to none. But that time was just so damn good where you could kind of show up, kind of be consistent, kind of work hard and go out there and make multiple six figures in this business. So people got accustomed to, they got used to, or they just never had learned how to play offense. So they got so used to just being able to be passive, go after, there's an abundance of low hanging fruit. They could play defense, and they haven't pivoted to playing offense. Right now is a market where you have to be extremely intentional. You got to pivot to offense. If you are relying on low-hanging fruit, if you are running your business passively, playing defense, meaning just waiting for business to come to you, like you are going to struggle and you're going to get demolished. You've got to go out there and hunt. And by that, again, every day it's like, okay, what am I doing to be intentional, to put deals together and make deals happen? But then from there, you got to hunt correctly. You got to hunt where the food is, right? So this is a market of needs, not wants. So sales is just pain and pleasure, right? Who's experiencing the pain with their current situation? They want out of that pain to get their pleasure, right? My job is to identify who the people that are experiencing the most pain with their current living situation that need to buy, that need to sell in this given marketplace. So I'm not going to go out there and do things like circle prospecting. I'm not going to go, I call it, sniper versus shotgun. I'm not going to go shotgun things. I got to operate like I got that sniper scope in this market. So an example with this, okay, you got FSBOs and expireds. We don't necessarily know their pain, but they've raised their hand that they want to go out there and sell. But then from there, okay, going after investors, a lot of investors right now that bought wrong, that are, in negative cash flow territory, that are receiving a lot of pain, that we're going after. You've got a ton of NODs again. So pre-foreclosures, they are just on the massive, massive rise. So being intentional with going out there and hunting. And the other blessing of this market. Now, people won't necessarily, it depends on how you mentally frame and look at this, but 95+% of our industry will never go out there and acquire the necessary skill set to sell in a more challenging economic time. So even with hyper competitive niches, like FSBOs and expires, it is so easy right now. And we're getting the highest conversion rates that we've ever seen because most people just they don't know how to go out there and have effective conversations where they're leading the process. They don't know how to identify what the true objections are, how to overcome those objections. So if you are willing to go out there and play offense and hunt right now, it is like fishing with dynamite, but you have to go out there and hunt.
I think that's to me, I have found with real estate agents, after talking to, hundreds of agents that over the years that we've done stuff with, is I found agents that are you kept using the word intentional, right? I'm going to be a sniper and I'm not going to shoot a shotgun. And having that intentional approach, I have found with all the people I talk to, that is one very key difference between agents who are going with the flow, so to speak, riding the waves, as opposed to making it happen. As an example, most of the agents I know that are not just surviving right now, but actually doing good in today's market, I find that they have a plan every single day. And on Tuesdays, they really don't want to call FSBOs. But guess what? Tuesday's scheduled for calling FSBOs, right? And they do those things that they have to do, even though it sucks, even though they don't want to do it. But they've also changed. They've evolved, as you were saying. Maybe A was working 4 years ago, but it doesn't work today. So I have to do Z today. And they're smart enough to still be busy and still do those exercises and not give up too soon. But also at the same time, they every day they wake up and they know their plan that day, which leads me to a quick question. What do you think the number one failure point with new agents is? Well, let's actually separate that into two questions. Maybe it's the same thing. New agents and existing agents. What is the number one failure thing that they do?
I would say the first thing is, they don't know necessarily what they're signing up for, right? Like meaning, okay, yeah, we want to go, like everybody wants to go out there and create success, but success does not come without sacrifice. So we gotta deal in realities and understand, okay, what is it that we're going to have to sacrifice? What is it that we're going to have to do to go out there and put in success? So many people jump in this industry. I hear it all the time. I'm like, okay, well, why'd you get in this industry? Oh, well, I bought a house and saw what our realtor did, and it just seemed like it'd be fun. I'm like,
that's like 90% of realtors, right?
Yeah, I'm like, you got to experience the fun part. The difficulty that you didn't see was the 40 hours that took takes them behind the scenes to acquire the client. Yeah, right. Like, and if you do not dial in client acquisition, I don't care how good. Like, you can be the best realtor on the planet, meaning like the contracts inside and out, the real estate inside and out, how to service your clients at the highest level inside and out. But if you do not know how to go out there and acquire consistent, steady flows of new clients, you're going to be a great broke realtor. And there's no abundance, there's no shortage of those in our industry. Yeah, right. Yeah. So client acquisition, if you don't get that dialed in, and you don't know what you're signing up for. I mean, how often do you hear this? Do I hear this all the time of, well, I just don't like sales. I'm not good at sales. I'm like,
what the officers and realtors that tell me that.
For, dude, right? We are in sales. Now the great thing is people are already sold on the fact they want to buy and sell real estate. Mm-hmm. So I don't need to, you and I, we don't need to go out there and sell it. They want it. Right. Oh, well, we got to do the product. That we're the best guide to get them from where they're at to where they want to go, to represent them, but if you can't do that, if you cannot, if you don't dial in those skill sets and get good at that, you are going to struggle and then from there, okay, then we move over to seasoned agents, their biggest issue then, let's just say they dial in that skill set, which even then, I mean, most just repeat the same mediocre year for 30 years, right? So, most
30 years of mediocrity.
Yeah. So let's just assume that they got that dialed in, right? Well, then from there, okay, they've got to, it's treating this business as a business. You got to understand, okay, what is the game that we are playing? Then from there, you got to know the game, you got to understand the game, you got to master each level of the game, right? The overall real estate sales funnel. Then from there, it's okay, it's developing systems and processes for each element of the game, tracking each element of the game, and then eventually, plugging in the right people to help you, continue to scale the game. So I guess, I could classify all of that as treating this as a business, which I know we get told all the time. You got to treat your business as a business, but most people just don't really grasp what that means.
Right. It's if you were to go out and you said that you started off selling, gym with your dad, gym memberships, right? If your dad just decided to go out and start a gym and didn't focus on client acquisition or any of that stuff, you could have the best gym on the planet. If nobody goes there, it doesn't matter. And people want to get strong, right? It's the same thing in real estate. People want to buy a house, they want to sell a house. But if you cannot do client acquisition, that is the golden ticket in this industry. And I think a lot of people get caught up. I mean, I'm all for CE classes. I teach CE classes. I attend them. I sponsor them. I'm all for them. But when I start seeing the same people in all the CE classes, and that's where they're spending the majority of their time, is trying to, they think they're sharpening their axe, so to speak, when in reality, wake up and do what is the most important thing to do today. And that's going to be, how am I going to get another client? You said it. I go out and do open houses. Now, you mentioned one thing that I thought was really interesting. 4 days in the business and you did 4 open houses, right? I think that's crazy, because who would have taught you that? Did you just decide that, or did somebody tell you did you read a book on it? What was that?
No, so this was back, I jumped in 2005. I'm kind of dating myself here, but there was no podcast, there was no YouTube, there was no smartphones. But what I did do is look, I've just from being an athlete as a kid, whatever, it's okay, I always knew, I always wanted to learn from the best, right? Mm-hmm. So as I was going through real estate school, I just looked up the top of the top in our, in our industry, did the best that I could with the due diligence that I could do at that time. And I went out there and I interviewed anybody that would let me pick their brain, because I wanted to have a plan, because it was very obvious very early on when I got into real estate school that this is not going to teach me anything about making money. And I didn't expect it to. I didn't go into this with delusion. You go, people will rip on real estate school, but I'm okay, go to whatever college and go to law school. Okay, they're going to teach you the law inside now, but they are not going to teach you how to grow your attorney practice and go out there and acquire clients. Same thing with medical school. They're not going to I wasn't delusional. I knew that. So then from there, I'm dude, I got to have a plan to execute on starting day one. Because I also, when I jumped into this, I got $1,000 to my name. So I knew that, man, I got to get deals hopping right a freaking way. With this.
Rent's due next month, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, man. So, I just went out there. So I had a game plan to execute on. And I started looking at, okay, well, what are my strengths? So when I started looking at, those that were doing open houses, I was man, this is just like a gym tour, right? Yeah. I'm okay, like a gym tour, they come in, they sign in. Right. You develop rapport, you establish where they're at, what their goals are. You give them on a tour based on that, and you articulate that, okay, you have the best facility to get them from where they're at to where they want to go. And if you articulate that right and sell the vision in their head, boom, they buy a membership. I'm okay, this is the same process, other than trying to sell them the gym membership. I'm just selling them on me to let me help them go out there and find the home that they're looking for. So also was I was able in my head to be like, okay, this real estate thing's new to me, but the process I already have dialed in from all these other years of experience. So I found that, okay, based on my strengths and based on my previous experience, what will be the best strategy for me to go out there and attack? And I just went, balls to the wall. I mean, I would do 2 or 3 on the week, like 2 or 3 per day on the weekends. But then, because I've always looked at this like, okay, if I'm going to go sit in the office, the probability of me getting walk-ins in my office is about 0. So why don't I just go out there and do, open houses every single day of the week and have that be my office? And if I have nobody show up, okay, I'm still getting my emails done. I'm still like, I'm not just there, picking my damn nose, twiddling my thumbs.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Like I'm in there working just like I would at the office, but I have the highest probability of getting somebody to walk in and come through. At least that was my mentality, back then. So, I just do them every single day, as many as I possibly could do. Because I hear from so many people who have like, oh man, I've been in the business for 6 months or a year and I just haven't closed a deal. And I'm like, dude, that is an absolute impossibility if you were showing up and working every single day. Yeah,
even 4 or 5 hours a day, you're gonna get. If you're doing stuff, you're gonna get deals.
Yeah, and then I'd go to it's just okay. How do I stay busy again? I was taught to hunt in the gym business, right? So I was already okay. Let me go out there and hunt. So then okay, if I didn't have an open house, I always had backup plans. Okay, let me go to Home Depot parking lot. So this is my Home Depot. I call it my Home Depot parking lot strategy. So, not a super fancy name, but so and why I did this strategy was, okay, I just bought my first house about a year before I got into real estate. And I was like, man, before I owned my first house, I was never at Home Depot. But now that I own a house, I'm here every freaking weekend. So then I'm like, dude, homeowners must be at Home Depot. So I grab my name badge and I go out there and grab 100 cards. And my goal is to have 100 conversations every day. In the parking lot. Now, well, people are like, well, how do you approach these people? And then I'm like, dude, I need to learn. And I also need to reduce sales resistance. So let me just go up and be honest. So when I walk up to people, I'd be like, hey, my name's Joshua Smith. I'm with XYZ Real Estate down the street. Now, just so you know, I just got licensed. I'm brand new. I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm not here to sell you anything. Because even if you wanted to buy or sell real estate, you wouldn't want to utilize me because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Right. I'm just trying to go out there, get my name out. And actually, there's a lot that I need to learn, as a new realtor. So I just wanted to see if you could do me a favor. And I figured instead of just guessing what it is I need to learn about the area, I would just ask people that live in the area. Like, is there anything that you are just interested in learning and knowing about the area that I can go do the research for you? Whether it's like new buildings coming up, new construction sites, anything that you were curious about, real estate related or not, just about our city. Is there anything that you have questions on that? Like let me go do the research for you. I'll email you, the answer, so I can learn and get the knowledge that actually people want and need. So I get people that, shoot me some questions, but I just kind of came as like, because people want to help other people.
You're building your database like a madman doing that, right?
So then from there, check this out, right? So then once again, I'm like, hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. You're helping me out a lot. Hey, I got one more favor to ask. Do you own a home in the area? Yeah, I do. Would it be okay with you? Like one of the things I really got to learn and get good at is doing home valuations. Would it be okay with you if I just kind of used your house as a test? Now, again, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm learning this, but I'm with a great broker. So I'm going to have them review it and make sure it's fully accurate. So when I send this to you, the valuation will be accurate. So you'll get an idea of exactly what your home is worth, but it just allows me to learn how to do this process and just mean the world to me if you would allow me to do this. Would that be okay with you? So then boom, I get their address. Right. And then I'd hand them my card. And I tell them, hey, look, you've helped me out so much. There's anything you ever need from me, real estate related or not, man. If you need help moving a refrigerator, whatever it is, I'm your guy. You just call me up. I am here to help you. I'm here to support you. But because I approached it in a non-salesy way and just asking for help, like, dude, I just had so many great conversations and it led to deals.
That's amazing. I was going to say that's amazing because what you're doing there, one sales tactic that I try to teach my loan officers is, like when we go, we go to look to work with real estate agents as an example, is I tell them what is the end result? What's the end goal? The end goal is to get a referral and close a deal and get paid, right? Okay, that's the end goal. But you're not going to get that on your first conversation, right? It's right. Impossible. So don't go ask for it on your first conversation because it ain't going to happen. Instead, add value. Exactly what you're doing is you've approached it in in a humble way. One of the ways that I approach a real estate agent, well, like you, hey, Joshua, this is Tim Chase at 719 Lending. You have no idea who I am, but I've actually heard about you. You're doing great things, right? And so same approach. I step back in humility. I approach it. I get it, but at the same time, I'm not asking for anything. I'm looking to provide. You're looking to provide. You approach it with humility, and I love that Home Depot approach, right? But you approach it with humility, but then you're like, how can I add value to you? But in your mind, you know that this is a long game. This could be, but what you're doing, you're building your database, you're getting the address, you're getting the CMA. When those people turn around and they want to sell a house or buy a house, who are they calling? That kid that they met in the Home Depot parking lot, that's who they're calling, right? That crazy kid that, twice a month he's sending me these market updates. I don't know what they are, but man, this guy's tenacious. I like this. Beautiful approach. And I think that is, and you've been coaching a long time, so maybe you obviously know more than I do in this category. But to me, it seems that is that internal drive to do it, to not accept how it is. Change that's a huge factor between success and failure in real estate. When I very first started in this industry, I started in 2000 or 2001. The guy I started with, I told him, I said, I will out hustle. I study sales. That's all I do is I study sales, right? I love the sales process. I love just the whole process is beautiful to me. It's like an art form. And I said, I'm going to outwork everybody, but I need you to show me what to do. And in my naivete, he convinced me that he's going to show me what to do. Day one, okay, Tim, here's what you do. There's a phone book. You start in the A's. I'm like, wait, what? And by week 2, I'm like, this sucks. This doesn't work. He says, okay, don't worry. In the newspapers, there's these things called for sale by owners. They don't know any real estate agents. After one night of calling, I quickly found out they know every real estate agent because everybody's called them, right? But your approach to that says, okay, I got the tenacity, but I got the flexibility. I hadn't quite learned the skill set there at my young age doing that. But that's a fantastic approach. So with you in coaching, what has changed for you? Like when you you started this, when did you start coaching? 5-10 years ago?
Yeah, well, I started my coaching program 10 years ago. But really, like to become a great team leader, like you got to become a good coach. So really, I've been coaching, whether it be my agents or other agents for, 17, 18 years now. Okay.
So when you, and there's going to be some evolution in that, right? There's going to be some personal growth, not just seeing you're going to see real estate agents fail and real estate agents succeed over 17 years of doing that. What has changed in you though? Like what's different in your approach now and how you handle your coaching compared to, let's say, even like 5-6 years ago?
Yeah. I'll lead it more to like when I first started coaching agents within my team, because this was one of the biggest mistakes, or two of the biggest mistakes I ever made. Right. Number one was, okay, like I treated it as everybody exists for Joshua Smith to hit Joshua Smith's goals. Instead of identifying what their goals were, it was, okay, what are my goals and how do you exist in my ecosystem to make these a reality? And things really changed as far as getting them to take massive action, getting them to go out there and execute, getting them to, do all the things I always wanted them to do, right? Like if they don't see the benefit, if it's not going after their goals, and a plan to achieve their goals, like they're not going to take the action. So that was, a big mistake that I made. Then from there, thinking that, okay, my way of success was going to be the way of success for everybody else. Then I quickly realized, dude, like everybody has different strengths. Everybody has different weaknesses. Some people are introverts. Some people are extroverts. Some people, and there's 1,000 ways to create success. So there's a lot of nuances when people are like, well, what's the best strategy to go out there and build my business? I'm like, well, that's a lot to unpack, man, because it's,
right? I think I was going to ask that question here shortly.
Right. So then from there of just understanding that, okay, like we got to assess, okay, what people's experiences are, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what excites them. It's like, okay, I have some agents, where like, here's an example, man, one of my top agents now, when we first started out in the company, having her doing, following up with Zillow leads, Facebook leads, doing certain things. And that just wasn't the right fit for her. Now we didn't know, and she didn't know at the time, because sometimes, You got to do, several different things before you see where your strength is, but then from there, as we started assessing this, she's like, because I just asked her, I'm like, well, what gets you excited? She's like, well, like, social media, YouTube. She was a model previously, so she already you had to leverage that for that. So I'm like, okay, like this path isn't really working for you. So let's just kind of run into and pour into the things that excite you. And now, dude, like she's popping 8 deals a month consistently just between her YouTube channel and social media. Yeah, right. Of okay, like, because again, everybody's different, man. So really looking at that, and so that understanding of everything works, nothing doesn't. So if you're somebody that's like, okay, I hate the phones and I'm refusing to do the phones. Now the first thing I would say to that is, okay, do you hate the phones because you hate the phones, or do you hate the phones because you're not good at them yet? So the analogy I always give is like, dude, I'm a terrible dancer. Like I've never invested the time to learn how to dance. So if we're at a wedding and my wife wants me to get up and go dance, like it sucks. I'm uncomfortable. I don't want to do it. But if I did invest the time to learn how to dance and I became pretty good at it, okay, then I'd probably enjoy that same activity right now.
You'd be pulling her out on the dance floor and enjoying it.
Yeah. So the first thing that I say is, okay, if you were having great conversations and you were getting great wins and you were so if you were having great conversations, if you were getting great wins, if you were setting a lot of appointments and you were winning at this, okay, would you then enjoy it? So we got to really pinpoint what the core issue is. Yeah, right. Because if it's a fear of rejection, okay, we can unpack that and easily get that overcome. Now, so is it legitimately you don't like the phones, or is it another symptom that if we can solve, then you can do this? But then from there, if they legitimately don't want to do it, so like I have an agent on my, that I mentor right now that just hates social media, gives her anxiety, like she just doesn't like it. I'm like, cool, don't do it then. There's a bazillion other things. So we just come up with this, other strategies that just crush it for her. So just just unpacking that and realizing, because we all different, again, goals, strengths, weaknesses. We all have different things that we're trying to build, things that we're trying to accomplish. So really unpacking that and then, reverse engineering the architectural plans to put together that winning strategy for them in their business.
So that's very unique approach, because usually what we see is this is the way, like the Mandalorian, this is the way, right? But in reality is my way isn't the way. My way is a way. And you are going to find your way. And like you say, you hate social events. Okay, well, avoid social events. Do something different. But I think the key there is, why do you hate social events? You just hate. So maybe they just give you anxiety, like you said, right? Maybe you're just uncomfortable there. But is there a deeper reason? Is it the fear of rejection on the phone? Is it are you taking the passive approach of emailing because you're not worried about if people are going to reject you or not? How exactly is that approach? So, it's funny you. You threw me off with that last one, because I usually ask the question is like, if you could do one thing, to succeed, what would it be? But you answered that in that everybody's so unique. So is that an approach you take in your coaching, more of a one-on-one, or is it more of a group type? Explain your coaching program a little bit.
Yeah, it's because, look, I've wanted to try to, I've had 2 missions with it. Number one, to make it the most the most effective, impactful real estate business building coaching program that exists in the industry, but then figure out a way to do it where anybody can afford it, regardless of financial position, regardless whether you're brand new, so I call it almost free. There is a small fee for it, but it's almost free. Right. With that though, so then it becomes, difficult for me to do one-on-one, on a consistent basis, with that, even though everybody has 7 days a week of access to me through certain mediums. But with that, there's only one way I sell it, right? Which is to they've got to book a call with me, or my team to go out there and walk them through. But what that allows me to do is very quickly. And so it starts off essentially with a coaching call of unpacking where they're at, all the information I need to be able to deliver them their next 12-month plan. Yeah. And then from there, we give them all the resources and everything that they need to go out there and execute on that and unpack that. But there is, so how we do these things, there's differences. But as far as the fundamentals are the same for everybody.
Yeah.
Right. So, all comes down to, okay, and I call it the success framework, right? So it's, you gotta get extreme clarity on what is it you want, why you want it, why it's important to you, not just on a 12-month basis, but on a long-term basis. So it's like, you could snap your fingers and have your dream real estate business built. What would that look like? Most people have no idea what the hell they actually want. They haven't, more people invest more time designing their grocery list, or they'll spend more time designing Christmas than they ever do thinking about, their overall life plan and what that ultimate life. So it's, I look at real estate as the best vehicle that exists out there, to go out there and build the life that you want to build. So we got to get clarity on like how much money you want to be making. Like what is it? What do you want your lifestyle like? What would your perfect day look like? Once we can identify those things, okay, what then model is going to make the most sense for you based on that to go out there and build that and, do that. Right. So once you get extreme clarity on what you want, why you want it, why it's important to you, then boom, that becomes the goal. Step number 2 to that is then you got to fully commit to making it a reality. So mentally committing. Now, a lot of people are like, well, why is that important? I'm like, dude, like you got to understand success doesn't come without sacrifice. If you are not fully committed to making that thing a reality, you're not going to go out there and execute on this. Like when I say fully commitment means you do the necessary actions regardless of your emotional state. If you are just interested, you are never going to create success. Success is only reserved for those that are committed. So, hey, what's the sacrifices it is going to take? What is, so the other day, I had this young gentleman reach out to me, jumped on a call with him. He's new in the business and he wants to go out there and make $1 million, in 2024. I'm like, okay, this is 100% possible, right? Like a lot of people will tell you, oh, it's not possible. First full year in real estate. I mean, it's 100% possible, but I'm like, here's what it's going to take. Are you willing to do that? Like we're talking 7 days a week, 14 plus hour days. Like, are you willing to do this? This is what you really want. Like I will get you the roadmap and we can make this a reality if you're willing to do this. So we got to mentally commit. Then from there, you identify the best proven plan to get you from where you're at to where it is that you want to go. Right. And the key there is proven, right? Like, I don't care. We're sold this myth that, if you just work hard, it'll pay off. Dude, if you put in the work, if you're working hard, it's going to pay off. Like, I don't care how hard you were sprinting. If you were sprinting east chasing the sunset, you're never going to see it. There's no shortage of hardworking broke people in our industry. You got to make sure.
There's a lot of hardworking broke people in the country, and it's that's why when people say you just got to work harder. For me, I'm thinking, man, I see these guys out there busting their backs doing stuff. They can't work in physically and emotionally can't work any harder. Maybe the strategy needs to be updated a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I'm not saying that. I'm not one of these guys that says that it's going to take hard work. It is, but you got to make sure that you're working hard, but working on the right things, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, it's just execution, right? And you execute and you don't stop executing until you create the success that you want to create. So then if we even unpack that further as far as the plan portion, it's like, okay, like right now, like you got to make sure you got the right strategy in place. Strategy is just your effective plan. Like, and again, this is, the sniper scope. This is going after those that have the needs, not the wants, right? So like, okay, like people are circle prospecting in this, this time frame that we're in. It's very ineffective. You're going to burn yourself out. You're going to exhaust yourself. Like we got to make sure we got the right strategy. Then from there, you got to make sure that you attach the right process. So the process is just, how much of this thing that we're doing, when we're doing it, how we're doing it, right? So like, let's just say I'm calling expireds. Okay. Like, I got to make sure that, expireds is I'm going to, the person I'm targeting, then, okay, what's that process? Okay. I'm going to call them day 1, then every other day for the first 14 days and every 21 days for the first year, because I know and understand that only 10% of expireds relist in the first 90 days, 90% relist between month 4 and that 2-year mark. So I have to have a long enough frequency and a long enough timeline to convert at a high level. So now we got strategy, process. Then the third component of this is skill set. Okay. Then from there, it's like, okay, I can be targeting the right people. I can be doing it at the right frequency. But then from there, if I don't know how to navigate those conversations effectively, if I don't know how to, reduce, a pulled back sales resistance, if I don't know how to, identify the true core objections and then overcome and navigate those objections, if I don't, and this is where, but I look at, okay, when it comes to these 3 things, it's like a 3-legged stool. One of those legs goes out, bam, that son of a bitch is falling over, right? So if you don't have these 3 things dialed in, right, like you are going to be the average person out there right now where your business is down 40+% from what you were used to experiencing the last few years, right? And you're going to struggle until you get these 3 things dialed in. It's just a reality of the times that we're in.
So I have a slight off-topic question. I got a couple more that I want to ask before we wrap up, but one off-topic question that I'm very curious your thoughts on this. As a mortgage company, right? So we reach out to real estate agents all the time. We try to do as much as we can to provide value to real estate agents. What would you suggest to a loan officer who wants to target a real estate agent and become a valuable asset to them? How does a loan officer go about that to a successful agent?
Okay, so just like the average realtor has a terrible strategy, right? The average LO has terrible strategies too. I got every LO in our market blowing me up because we're one of the top teams, and for an LO to get in with our team when we're moving the units that we move, like it's good business for them, right? But then what's the average pitch? Oh, just give us a shot. Right. Yeah. Like it's like, well, dude, we get loans done, we get things done on time. I'm like, okay, you want me to high five you for doing your job? Right?
Congratulations, you did it.
Yeah, it's like me just saying, oh well, I find my clients I get my clients' homes sold. I'm like, well, like shit, dude. Like that's what
you're supposed to be doing.
So and you really you nailed it, dude. It's adding value. Because all people care about is what is in it for me.
Yep.
So when you're looking at that, you're selling what you might perceive as the value, but you got to really go into, okay, what value can I add to them? Because what do realtors really care about is how am I going to grow my business? So like if I'm a loan officer, okay, I'm going to become a badass at learning everything I need to learn about how to become a top real estate agent. Not saying I'm going to go wear that hat, but then I can become a mentor and a coach of, okay, here's how you go out there and like we talked about client acquisition. Here's how you dial in client acquisition. Let me teach you how to go out there and crush it in your real estate business utilizing social media. Let me, I'll be running call sessions, with them. Hey, I'm going to run these call sessions, following up with your buyer leads, following up with your seller leads, any that raise their hand. I'll be, teaching them scripts, any that raise their hand that they want to qualify. Boom, we'll live transfer them right there. I'll take them on. I'll get them pre-qualified right there. And boom, we'll keep them moving forward and help you convert these. Right. I've been teaching them how to do buyer consultations effectively, listing presentations effectively. Like I would help them go from maybe they're struggling doing 6 deals a year to how to go out there and close, 18 to 24 deals a year. Right. And change their personal situation, their family situation around. And then boom, they're going to be loyal for life. Because the impact that you made on their life, plus they're going to have more opportunities for you to go out there and do. So again, what are you doing to add value but the right value, right? That they truly want. And don't call people up and be like, oh, well, what can I do for you? How can I add value to you? Right? Like that's the dumbest way to approach people. Right? Like
you're the fourth person that's called me this week.
How do I add value to them? And then let me go to them with a value add.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fantastic. And I think that's a huge miss that most loan officers miss with it. First off, they bombard the higher, because all the data's out there. So they just bombard the high agents and they throw a really silly pitch out there. So thank you for that.
Speaking, sorry to interrupt you, but okay, you and I are in the same business. Not just, I mean, in real estate. Like, okay, I'm not working with buyers and sellers anymore. My job is to recruit agents, right? Like grow my real estate, whether it be the brokerage, the team, the franchising firm, or coaching or my software. Like it's like all day long, all I'm doing is recruiting agents. So what do? Yeah. We put on events to help them go out there and grow their business, right? It's always, I've got an ebook or a free book that I give out that I wrote of, 42 top tips to go out there and dominate your real estate business. So I get them in my funnels, right? So just thinking of that in that way. So, for those of you that are listening to this, that are also team leaders or brokerage owners or recruiting agents, all the same process. Right. Like it's like nobody cares how fancy your office is or we offer these, like everybody tries to feature and benefit sell. All they care about is, okay, here's where I'm at. I'm experiencing this pain. I want to get out of this pain. I want to get to this pleasure. You identify that, you build the gap, you get them to become problem aware, you help them solve those problems, and they will then be loyal to, for life.
So it's the same thing. If I'm talking to an agent or whether I'm talking to a home seller or whoever I'm talking to, it's the same psychology on it. It's like, what's that? Think and Grow Rich, right? From 100 years ago. That stinking book.
Best book ever written.
You read it and you're like, the human animal has not changed, right? We are exactly the stinking same that we've been. So do open houses still work? In today, you said circle prospecting. No, do open houses work right now?
Yeah, but this is the thing. Okay, like let's just say, okay, same house today that I would sit. I haven't done an open house in like 16 years personally, but my agents do them, right? So, okay, 6 years ago was, today is an $800,000 house. 6 years ago was a $300,000 house. We used to get 75 people through an open house. Now today we might get a dozen if we're lucky.
Yeah.
So then from there, it's like, okay, we cannot, this is why I've been stressing skill set in this podcast. like you cannot afford to waste an opportunity in this market. So you have to have your shit dialed in, like up front. So, okay, what's my tour process? What am I doing at the end of that tour to navigate into? Because with the open houses, why I like them so much is not only do we get to pick our price point, we can pick the niche, pick the location.
Yeah.
So like meaning, okay, like who's buying in my market? 40 to 55-year-old married couples that are in peak income earning years. Because if you're not making 150 grand average household income, it's like you're not buying in my market right now, right? So, okay, we're in, so I'm going to do my open houses at the product that I know people are wanting to buy, that's a desire to buy, that can buy. So, open house in the $600 to $1 million price point, right? So like, it's kind of like fill the dreams, build it and they will come. Do the open house on the, in the areas where people are able to go out there and acquire real estate, but then from there, okay, the second that they sign in, so I got to make sure I have an effective sign-in process. The second they sign in, now we're face-to-face with a lead. So it's the quickest face-to-face with a lead source that I'm aware of. But then from there, okay, that tour is intentional to then at the end of the tour lead to me setting an appointment. But then from there, you're going to have a contingent of those you set appointments with, a contingent that you don't. So then what's your long follow-up game? So, okay, I put everybody to a 1,000-day long, follow-up campaign after the fact. So what I mean is, they're still effective. Well, here's the deal is almost everything, not everything, because like I said, circle prospecting, there's certain things that are going to be, kind of ineffective in the time that we're in, but almost everything, it's usually not the thing, it's how we work the thing that is flawed.
Right.
So open houses still work.
So
but
if you had to pick three, like the most effective, meaning, our approach is flawed generally. It's like taking the, I have some loan officers that tell me, oh man, you can't get a deal done right now. There's just no deals. So what I do is I pull stats, I show them, I show how many deals are closing every day. And I say, okay, just in our tiny little county, 40 houses every single day. So 40 people, 40 people out hustled you on Tuesday to get that deal closed. So how did that happen? Right. Cause somebody got it. So how did that happen? There's deals happening. So if you were in front of your coaching group right now and they said, okay, give me three things. So we got open houses, I imagine would be one, but what are another two that you would say are worth, the juice is worth the squeeze right now?
So I'm going to, because in this market, like right now, because it's just so easy to do, I want to stack as many listings as I can. Right. So I'll give two. Well, there's four right now that are just money. Expired FSBOs. Everybody's aware of those. What people aren't aware of, though, is the strategy to get those, because you got to be different than everybody else. Your skill set has to be better. Your frequency has to be better. But then the two that are my favorite right now, because they're extremely high converting, because they're people experiencing pain that need to sell, but we don't have a heavy saturation with agents going after them. Number one is investors. So these are investors that own these properties, right? So you got tenant evictions up 54% from pre-pandemic levels. You got rents being suppressed. So we're experiencing cap rate compressions for the first time in several decades. But you got taxes going up, HOAs going up, cost of maintenance going up. Yep. So they're having problem tenants. Rents are coming down. All their expenses are going up and up and up. So if they want to sell at or close to peak pricing, like now is the time to do so before they either get into negative cash flow territory, or if they're in negative cash flow territory, before they continue losing more. So we're going after your long-term buy and holds, but then also like your Airbnbs, your short-term vacation rentals, because 50% of those were acquired post-COVID when they were getting 70 to 75% occupancy rates. Today, they're getting 52% occupancy rates, and they're just bleeding cash. Right. So there are people that need to sell fast. So we're converting right now 8% of those 100 conversations. That's 8 listings. Right. Wow. I can have 100 conversations in one day. Right. Like if I'm pounding the phones hard. Right. Like, not saying that, that's doable for all agents, whatever, but you can have 100 conversations in a week. Anybody listening to this podcast could. Right. So, and then what I love about the investors is, and those 92% that are like, oh, hey, no, property's performing great, no intent of selling. Well, it's a win either way, because now we're transitioning that conversation into acquiring them as buyer investor clients. Oh yeah, hey, no worries at all. And I'm glad to hear this property's performing great for you. Hey, real quick, before I let you go, I'm not sure if you'd have interest or not in adding additional real estate properties to your portfolio, but if I could find you other great deals that perform as good, or if not better than this one, would you have interest in adding additional deals to your real estate portfolio? And if so, would it be okay with you if I emailed you over any great deals I find? Like any savvy, sophisticated investor says, hell yes to that, right? Then we have NODs, notice of defaults, right? These are your pre-foreclosures. So right now you've got over 3 million homeowners throughout the United States. There's 85 million mortgages, 12 million HELOCs throughout the US. Over 3% of those, so over 3 million right now, are 30 plus days late on their mortgage. Home hasn't been foreclosed upon yet. These are people that need to sell fast. Otherwise their bad situation is going to get a hell of a lot worse. So again, this is where I was saying, okay, identify who's experiencing the pain, right? And then go after like that. That's who has the highest probability of needing to buy or sell in this given market.
That's fantastic, because I did notice you didn't say go buy leads.
No,
you said go. You said go work.
This is not there's no need to spend dude. It's kind of the old school fundamentals that are working best in this market. Right?
Yeah. So I'm
still doing some paid ad shit, but it's the hustle, right? That's getting the best results right now.
Yeah, and it's a phrase that I sent out to all my. I mean, maybe I took it from your Twitter feed. I don't know. I took it from somebody, but it was Gary Vaynerchuk said, the more our society acts like the Jetsons, the people that treat people more like the Flintstones are going to have massive success.
But you're right, dude. It's especially when you're selling high ticket sales like we are. I mean, we're selling the highest ticket item that our clients will ever acquire in their lifetimes, at least for most of us. Maybe you're representing billionaires. They're also buying jets and yachts. So, but for most of us, it's like, okay, the real estate is going to be the most expensive acquisition they ever do in their lifetimes, right? So then from there, appointments get set on the phones. And these are human beings with real, like I never look at anything as a lead or a prospect. It's like, dude, this is a human being. This is somebody's mom or father or son or daughter. They're human beings with real needs, with real fears, with real things going on. And then when people are like, well, dude, I'm not going to go out there and master my skill set. I'm like, okay, you just don't care about helping human beings then? Because I get so many people that are like, oh, I just love helping my clients, go out there and find their dream home or go out there and sell their homes. But then I'm like, okay, but you're not willing to then do the things and get good at the things that can help you do more of that. You know, like what's wrong? So what they're actually telling me is, I want to do it if it's just super easy. Yeah, right.
If it's super easy and I get paid a lot, I'm very interested in helping people, Joshua.
Yeah. I'm like, go be a showing agent, make your $20 an hour, right? And if that's all you want to do all day long, go do that then. But let's not be delusional here.
So you have a lot of awesome stuff, and I've dug into a ton right now. I really appreciate your time. How would people get a hold of you if they were interested in? Do you call it GSD coaching? What is it? What's a coaching platform?
Yeah, I mean that's what other people call it. It's real estate business mastery, a coaching program. But yeah, I mean, GSDmode.com, and you guys don't have to, worry about the coaching stuff yet or any of that. I mean, if you are interested, you have
a ton of free content there.
Yeah, but I mean, because whether you go to GSDmode.com where you can access my YouTube channel, my podcast, so all of that, and all the free content, free information, or you can go to YouTube. My social handle everywhere is just Joshua Smith GSD. But if you go to my YouTube channel, example, I'm gonna have like 2,000 plus. Just free video, free content, free training, free, so go check. I just encourage you to go check that stuff out and, see how it impacts you.
Cool. Well, hey, thank you very much, Joshua. We really appreciate having you on the show today. And again, that's Joshua Smith, GSD Mode out in Arizona, real estate coach, success coach, and real estate team owner. So give him a shout out at gsdmode.com. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you.
See ya.
That wraps up another episode of Agent Success Podcast. Remember, you can find new episodes each week at agentsuccesspodcast.com. We hope you found the insights and best practices shared today truly valuable. And if you did, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Remember, your success is a journey of learning and improvement. So let's keep hustling, thriving, and learning. Until next week, this is Tim Chase.